This is my hobby, the greatest hobby. One hobbyist here, and we are back at it again with our Talisman character exploration guide for the dungeon expansion. Now, in the previous video, we have covered the Amazon's versatile ability inside a battle, and just her ability to be a bit more control. But we are down to the final 3 characters of the dungeon expansion. So let's go ahead and get on to the next character. It's him. The next character that we're going to be covering. An adventurous, carefree daredevil who never backs down from a challenge or a chance to rescue a maiden. Indeed, it is the Swashbuckler. Now, I will say this on the fore end, that the character that is also inside of this expansion, who shares the same space as him, I contemplated doing in the same video, but I've made up my mind. Let's go ahead and go inside of the Swashbuckler. So, the Swashbuckler is also a balanced character with a Strength 3, Craft 3. And as you can see that little doorway logo, that means he, as well as the other 4 characters, as well as any of the other cards that possess that logo, are a part of the dungeon expansion. If you're not interested in playing with the dungeon board that you see in front of you, or any of those pieces, just look out for that little symbol. It'll make things easier for you when it comes to separation. So moving a bit further, the Swashbuckler is a good character who starts in the tavern, and as you can see from a position standpoint, he is significantly closer than both the Gypsy and the Amazon when it comes to having access to the dungeon, because that dungeon entrance is the only way in. You know, the space that's towards the ruins. So, moving forward with these next parts of the stats, he has a fate of 2 and an average life of 4. Not bad, but again, it's a bit more on the average when it comes to that sort of thing. But he does indeed have 3 character abilities instead of just the 2. So let's go ahead and get into them. When you win a battle during your turn, you may take 1 extra turn. You may only do this once per round. So, when it comes to battles, being able to get that extra turn every time it comes around to you is definitely advantageous, especially in expansions that may or may not require urgency, especially the Harbinger expansion. If you're, say, at the 4th, 5th, or 6th poem, maybe you want to start killing creatures faster, so that way you can take that 1 extra turn in hopes of being able to land on the Harbinger, and to reverse the effects of Omen cards. Now, inside of the actual dungeon itself, this is a way that you can accumulate trophy points in order to boost your own stats, and to be able to get strong enough to face the Lord of Darkness at the very end. Because a lot of the enemies are going to be stronger or have higher craft, since essentially everything inside of the dungeon expansion is tougher than anything else in any of the other corners. The Swashbuckler's ability to get that extra turn could be the difference between taking the lead or being left behind, depending on the expansion that you're playing with. So definitely, but not every single time, frequently take advantage of those extra turns that you're able to get. Because as the stronger you get, the easier the battles are. And the easier the battles are, the more frequently that you can go in succession. Because a round is when it's your turn, and then it gets all the way around to however many players you're playing with. And then when it comes back to you is when you can then use that ability again. So let's go ahead and get towards the second character ability here, which is, whenever you land on the field, you may draw 2 adventure cards instead of 1, but you must encounter both cards. If there is a card already on the field, when you land there, you may draw a second card, but you must encounter both cards. So in essence, there can only be a total of 2 cards on the field spaces, one of which is directly beside the tavern, There's one in the far distance towards the city space. There's one towards the forest and ending at the village, and then on the opposite side of the village, there's also a field space. So why would you necessarily want to be drawing 2 cards in the fields instead of 1? Well, the reason that you would want to be drawing more cards is possibly because you want to find those objects, find those things that can boost your strength easier. Find the easier enemies inside of the adventure deck, rather than just running straight to the dungeons where you could possibly meet your impending doom inside with no way out. So being able to take advantage of the field spaces that are around the outer region strip is definitely an easy way to boost yourself up with slightly weaker enemies, being able to accumulate the right weapons and objects, and then just making your way inside of the dungeon to where you can start killing them, and then turning in those trophies and getting stronger and taking those extra turns. That way you can find more enemies and kill them as well. So that is definitely something to take into consideration. So this last character ability fits more so with the persona of the Swashbuckler, and that is, after rolling the die when you visit the tavern, you may add 1 to the score. And it makes sense. He's a swashbuckler. He's a pirate. Pirates love to drink and sing songs and all that sort of thing. So being able to take advantage of the tavern in the base game is definitely something you want to do. Especially since, let's say that the dungeon, as far as the actual corner goes, isn't the place that you want to really go. Being able to take advantage of the fact that if you roll a 6 in the tavern, you can cross over immediately to the temple space. It might be easier for you to make a break for the Crown of Command versus being able to build up all your stats and facing the Lord of Darkness and hoping that your attack score is high enough to where it can make a big enough difference to where it can shortcut you straight there. Because that is honestly one of the things with this expansion, is that the dungeon does offer a lot, and it can prove very fruitful because it has some of the most powerful treasures in the game. But time is of the essence because the dungeon is its own separate region that you have to cover, that you have to go all the way through in order to take a chance, if you will, at possibly giving yourself the biggest advantage. So overall, what do I think of the Swashbuckler? I think that the extra turn ability is definitely his most useful ability. But just keep in mind that none of his abilities gift him towards craft or psychic combat. And just as there's as many strong monsters in the dungeon, there's plenty of strong spirits with high craft as well. So you definitely got to be on the lookout for that. But overall, this covers the Swashbuckler, and I'll see you guys in the next one.